I want to work a few extra problems that are going to be covered on test 1. Another problem with solving quadratic equations by factoring. Rule number 1 for solving quadratic equations by factoring is to get everything on one side set equal to 0, and I have that. Step number 2 is to look to see if you can take out the greatest common factor. Well, between 49 and 100, there is no greatest common factor other than 1. Both of the terms do not have an x, so I can't take out an x, so I can't take out a GCF. So when I look at this binomial, I see that I can factor this binomial as the difference of two squares. Recall from your previous algebra classes how we factor the difference of two squares. The square root of 49, we can break that apart as 7 times 7. We break up x squared to x and x. And we have a negative and a positive to multiply together to give me a negative. What numbers multiply together to give you 100? Or you can look at it as square root of 100 is 10. You're going to use 10 and 10. Now, once you have factored it into two binomials, you will take each factor and set each one equal to 0 and solve for x. So take each one, set it equal to 0, and solve for x. So you'll add 10 to both sides. The 10's cancel. 7x equals to 10. And divide both sides by 7. So there's one of your answers, 10/7. On the other equation, subtract 10 from both sides. The 10's cancel. I have 7x equals to negative 10. And divide both sides by 7. 7's cancel. X equals to negative 10/7. I'm going to also use this problem as an example that I could have also worked this problem by the square root property. So I'm going to work this problem again just so that you could see that I could use this problem, use the square root property to solve this problem also. In the square root property, to work a problem, you need to get what's squared on one side equal to the constant on the other side. So if you add 100 to both sides using the square root property, the hundreds cancel. You end up with 49x squared equals to 100. Next, we want to get x squared on one side by itself, so we divide both sides by 49. Divide both sides by 49. So I have x squared equals to 100 divided by 49. Using the square root method to go from something squared to something not, take the square root of both sides. So you end up with x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 100 divided by 49. Recall that when you have a fraction under the radical, that's the same thing as having two radicals. When you take the square root of 100, you get 10. When you take the square root of 49, you get 7. Don't forget it's plus or minus. So there's the same two answers that we got. We had positive 10/7 and negative 10/7.